I use Claude Cowork every single day. It writes my morning briefing, it helps me create marketing materials for my day job, it even edits these videos, and just last night I used it to build a tool that allows me to use my Bluetooth mouse across my Mac and Windows machine at the same time. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 real use cases that you can set up today that will show you the real power of Claude Cowork. If you're still just chatting with AI, you're using about 10% of what it can actually do. And most people out there are pushing out videos showing you how to move files around on your desktop, but Claude Cowork is much more than that. And no matter what your job is, Claude Cowork can automate a lot of your daily tasks. My goal with this video is to give you some ideas of what I'm using this for, and hopefully spark some ideas for you and your own life. Use case number 1 is a daily briefing. So you can connect Claude to a lot of different applications such as Gmail, your calendar, and potentially depending on what you do for a job, you might want to, connect it to your Shopify dashboard so it gives you your daily sales each day, or connect it to your CRM so that you get any new leads that have come in overnight that you need to contact today. You can create a dashboard that gives you a daily briefing and shows you the action items for the day. I also use this to get an overview of sort of the stock market and use it in AI. So let me show you how this works. If we come over here to scheduled, you can basically in Claude run scheduled tasks. So at 9 a.m. every day, it's going to run my daily morning briefing and give me all of that information back. So you can set this up to run at whatever time. You can run it every day. There might be certain tasks that you want on a Friday, basically giving you analytics of your business for the week, right? Giving you an overview and a report of KPIs for that specific week. That could be used in your business or even your day job, depending on what sort of role that you have. So if I go into my daily morning briefing, so this is a fairly simple prompt. It goes through and it connects to my Google Calendar. It connects to my email and pulls any important emails for the day. It does a stock market update. So it's going to use web search to find the latest news on the stock market, and the same for AI. And then it's going to provide me with a list of action items. Now, this is not my real daily briefing. I'm not going to show like my emails, etc. on this video. So if you're setting this up for yourself, there's probably a lot more things that you can add in there that are useful to you. And then it basically gives it the output format of the file. So what I'm going to do is run this now and show you how it works in action. And if we come over to the left-hand side over here at daily morning briefing, you'll see where it runs. So you can see mine's already ran today, but I'm going to click on this as this is the one that's currently running right now. And you can see it's thinking, it's going to load tools. So it's going to connect to Google Calendar. It's going to connect to Gmail and pull that information for the day. Again, I've put some dummy data in here, but it will start pulling that information and creating us a report. And I've set it up to actually create a report in the browser. So it's going to give us a nice overview dashboard each day. You can just set it up to provide you this information directly in Claude, which is fine as well. But if you want something that's a little bit more customizable, you can create it in an HTML page. So I'm going to let this run. Once it's done, I'll show you what it looks like. So I now have my summary back, and it gives me a quick summary here in Claude, but the real full summary is going to be in this HTML document right here. So you can see here, it's got my morning briefing. So we've got today's schedule. It's highlighting that I've got back-to-back meetings, 11 to 12, so no buffer between them, just highlighting something that you might want to be aware of as you're working throughout the day. We've got a deep work window, so good for focus work before the midday block. And then it just shows you my calendar right here. Overnight emails, we've got a few things. So security alert, whenever I was logging into this email account with Claude, it's flagged those. And then Dribble is just, a random promotion there. But this isn't the real email inbox. If it was, obviously you would get emails throughout the night from that you maybe need to respond to today. So you'll be able to see them in there as well. And then we've got the stock market update. So it gives me quite a nice little view here. We've got S&P futures are down 1.3% after Trump's speech last night. So it's give us a nice overview there, and it's also going to give us some companies that are, performing really well here, like SanDisk or Nike, which is, currently dropping quite rapidly. And then we've got some AI news over here on the right-hand side. SpaceX and AI merger announced. CEOs misapplying AI. There's lots of different things in here, but it just gives me a quick overview on the day of what's going on in the AI world. And then we've got today's action items. So, we had those security alerts in Google. So it's going to tell us to review them. That's going to pop up or flag anything that you might need to do today. And you can be very specific in your prompt what you want that to be. So, for example, in my day job, I work as a broker and I sell online businesses. So it's very important that I get back quickly to buyers who are potentially interested in a business. In my case, what I might do is have it flag any buyers that have come through overnight that have questions or they're looking to book a call. I want to get back to those people as soon as possible. Having it in this morning briefing allows me to prioritize those and get to them quickly. So that's the morning briefing. You can customize this as much as you like, but that's a very basic version of it and hopefully spark some ideas for you. Number 2 is creating marketing materials with Claude. And this is super powerful. It's one of the first things that I set up with Claude whenever I first discovered it about 4 months ago. Because I work, again, as an online broker, I have to create teasers and presentation decks for the businesses that I'm selling. And it's quite a time-intensive task if you're doing that manually. So I've been using Claude to help me put together teasers that I can then reach out to potential buyers to showcase the business. So I'm going to show you this in an example of a real estate agent, but you can probably apply this to 100 different use cases, using the same sort of workflow that I'm using here. So first, let me just show you the output of this file. So this right here is created by Claude completely, and it's a nice little one pager on a property. So very similar to if you've been to, like an estate agent or a real estate office. In the window here in the UK, you see little like one pagers on a property, very similar to this. So putting that together in something like Photoshop or Canva, it's probably going to take you maybe an hour to put those photos together, add the copy to this listing. But Claude allows you to do this extremely quickly by providing it the information that you have on hand. So very likely for a real estate agent, they're probably going to get the photos through from a photographer. They've then probably got in like a Word document information about the property. So you'd want to set up a prompt or a skill that takes that information, takes the photos, selects the best ones, and then summarizes the information that you have about the property in the Word document, and then puts it into a nice little graphic like this. So let me show you exactly how it works. So you can see up here, I initially prompted it to create a skill for this. So now we have the skill, and it's very easy. If you want to create a skill for any task, that's how I would start it. I would tell Claude to create a skill to give me this output, let it fill in everything in the middle, and then edit it from there. So I went through, I made some edits to this. The initial ones, I'll show you what it came out with initially, really didn't look good at all. So you can see this, it looks terrible. This one right here, that they all look pretty bad. So I went back to it and basically said, look, I think they currently look very unprofessional. Create a more professional version using the Malibu listing information. So you can see over here on the right hand side in the folder structure, I have a folder for Malibu Rocky Oaks, which is that property that I just showed you. And it's got the images, it's got the listing info, which is basically just that Word document we discussed of all of the information about the property. And then it takes that information and it moves it into a PDF that you can then download, and you have that. So you can think about the other use cases for this. I'm using it as an online business broker, but you could also use this for different use cases. You could use it for creating marketing graphics for your e-commerce brand. If you're, running an agency, you might send out free audits to try and get clients. So you could use this to put in a website, pull an audit from it based on the prompt that you've given, and sort of the outline, that skill goes through and it audits the website. It puts it together in a nice little PDF. You can send that out to your clients to try and get scheduled calls booked in, and you can automate all of that with Claude, which is a powerful use case that a lot of agencies are using now. So if we take a look, I'll show you exactly how this works. So I'm in the real estate listing generation project. So I'm just going to pull up a home here on Zillow. So I think that's just a lot, but let's take a look at this one. 170 million, pretty nice property. So let's take this. I'm going to copy the link for it, and I'm going to bring it back into Claude. So I'm just going to tell it to use the generation skill to create a one pager for this property. Now, if you're using this as an actual real estate agent, you probably have the source files, but I'm pulling them from a website because, I'm not a real estate agent. But if you have the source files, you just upload them into the folder and it would then use them. So let's click go on this, and it's going to hopefully go to Zillow. It's going to pull the images for that property. It's going to summarize the listing information that is on the Zillow page, and then utilize that to create a one pager in the format of our branding. So you can obviously give it your branding. You can provide it with a PDF of your brand guidelines, and it will create this teaser in that format, which is really nice. But let's see what this comes back with here. So it's now working through this, and what's really interesting here is it isn't just pulling from this exact Zillow listing. So I think it had some issues pulling the information from Zillow. So it actually went out and it looked at multiple different websites here for this specific property. So it's looking up this 10644 Bellagio on Zillow, on these other websites as well. And then even for the images, it says, I find excellent. It went and found the best quality images on multiple different sites and used the best quality images that it could find. So it's now going to download the best images and it's going to build the teaser. Obviously, this would be much quicker whenever you're actually using the files that you have locally. And let me show you while we're working through this, what this skill actually looks like to generate it. So this is the skill right here, real estate listing teaser generator. So what you're building is a single HTML file. It's A4 size. We want to be very specific on what we want. And then design philosophy. So the aesthetic is editorial luxury, photography first, typographic hierarchy through weight and size contrast. We're giving it some of those key design features that we want. And then the required information. So this is information that must be present in this teaser. So property images, address, price, key stats, key features, agent details. So choose the single most dramatic photo as the hero. So it's telling it, we want an impressive photo of the property on this teaser page. It's going to craft the copy. It's going to generate the HTML file. It's going to use a specific typography. And then even down here, we've got the layout. So as you've seen in the example I showed you, it looks very much like this, and it builds it out in this sort of code block here of what it should look like so it knows. And I actually didn't prompt this myself. I'm not creating this skill from scratch myself. I'm basically giving Claude an overview of what I want, telling it what the output should be, and then it goes and creates this file that Claude and the LLM can actually read. And if there was any changes I want to make, I would make it in here and make those edits, but I don't want to sit and create this from scratch whenever it's going to do a much better job itself. Let's scroll down. It looks like we have finished here, so let's view it and see exactly what this looks like. We've got this nice hero image right here. We've got the same styling that we previously had. So the styling is staying consistent across the different teasers that we're creating for our brand. Obviously I'm doing this as an example, but you probably have your logo, your branding on this. You might have a photo of you as the real estate agent on it, but this looks pretty good. And that was created in a few minutes versus maybe an hour or 2 hours doing this manually. So imagine the different use cases that you can apply this to. Number 3 is using Claude to create video graphics for videos just like this. And this is going to be a bit meta because I'm going to use the graphics that I've created here in this actual video. So I basically come in. You need to set up Remotion, which is a tool that allows you to create animations using Claude. So I've actually did a full video on that. I'll put the link up below in the top right if you want to learn in full detail how to install Remotion and how to use it fully. But I want to show you the power of this. So I'm inside my Exploring AI folder here, which is for this brand. And in there, I have a few different things. I have brand guidelines that I give it. It understands the videos that we're creating. It has a folder specifically for this video with a script outline, etc. What I said was use Remotion to create graphics for each of the stages in the 5 use cases for Claude Video. So it then went through, it says, let me find that video content first to understand the use cases and their stages. Let me read the script and existing Remotion files to understand what I'm working with. And it's going to create it based on my design guidelines that I already have in that folder. So it went through, it started creating them, and I got them back initially. And there is going to be errors sometimes that you need to correct. Some of the graphics weren't centered on the frame. So what I said is these look great. However, on each of them, the graphic isn't centered. Can you center it on each of the compositions? So it went through, it made those changes, and let me show you what they look like. And you've probably seen these throughout the video already. So I think these look pretty good. You can click this little replay button up here and you get this animation coming in and showcasing a morning briefing. We've got the marketing materials over here. So this is obviously applying it to real estate because that's the example I'm giving in this video. And it gives this nice little graphic quite similar to what we're creating with that teaser image. We've got video editing over here. So it gives a nice little timeline, rendering, etc. We've got landing pages. So it's even got this nice prompt thing up here and then the site and landing page. And then for custom tools, it gives us this nice step-by-step guide. And I'm going to show you in number 5. Number 5 is pretty crazy. A little interesting because it says mouse in the house, and that's not the actual problem that we have. So I'll fix that before I put it in the real video. But that is how you can use Claude to create these amazing graphics. And honestly, this would take me, I just couldn't do it. I would have to go and find specific, templates or presets that I can use in Premiere Pro, and it takes hours to go through and create them. This literally took 5 minutes to create all 5 of the sections of this video, a nice graphic that I can overlay on the video. And basically, if I want to change anything, I can tell it, or change the style, I can tell it, but it's so quick, and this is one of the biggest time savers with Claude if you're doing any sort of video work. Number 4 is creating landing pages inside Claude Cowork. So I've created videos on the channel before. You can use Claude Code to create 1,000-page websites. I created one recently on the channel. But if you're like a marketer or someone who creates landing pages on a day-to-day basis, That can be quite time consuming, but Claude Code can template things really well and build out landing pages very quickly for you. If you're testing, you want to test different landing pages and do conversion rate optimization, you can spin up multiple different pages extremely quickly. So I have this skill right here. Basically, I generated this skill to create me a landing page specifically for these videos. So if I want to give you guys some of the skills or prompts that I'm using, I'm going to create a landing page where I collect your email and send you over the skill. So I asked it, can you create me a skill that for each video that I create, if I have a skill that I want to give away, I basically give it the specific skill that we're using, and it creates a page based around that. So before writing any code, you need to know what are the skills or resources being given away, get a name, short subtitle, category, what's the video title or topic, how many items. And then it has a design system here with all of the colors, the fonts, etc. that we use. So it's basically got a design guidelines, and then it's got guidelines for the copy as well. So I'm basically just going to prompt it here and say, create a landing page for a video called 5 Best Use Cases for Claude, which is this video. I'm giving away my daily briefing skill, the teaser generation skill for real estate, and my landing page generation skill. So I would recommend for anything where you're doing like coding, especially for the videos as well, use Opus 4.6. For stuff like the daily briefing, Sonnet's probably fine. It's powerful enough to do work like that. But if you're doing anything related to coding, the teaser generation, I would definitely recommend using Opus, as it's the best model for that type of work. We now have our landing page back. It took about 2 minutes or so. So let's open this up in Safari and see what it looks like. So you can see here, it's using the same design style that I had in my video compositions. As seen in the video, grab the 3 skills that make Claude actually useful. You can change this copy. You could obviously prompt it if you want to update this. And then it's got these nice little graphics down here. So it's got the daily briefing, teaser generator, landing page generator. So the 3 skills that I told it I wanted to give away. And then it's got the daily briefing down here, like a little teaser of what is in these skills. And then another email capture down at the bottom right here. So a pretty nice landing page within 2 minutes. Something like this in ClickFunnels or WordPress would take you literally hours to build out. So super powerful skill to use there, and a really good use case that can be applied to hundreds of different tasks that you might do. And it's not just landing pages. You can also use this to build out full funnels from start to finish. You can use it to build call scheduling or call booking pages. You might want to use it to build out full websites from start to finish as well. So you can use it for a lot of different use cases. So those are the first 4. Number 5 is a little bit more interesting, and that is actually using Claude Code to build out tools for small problems that you have. And you could even sell these tools or just use them in your day-to-day. But over the past week, I've been having a problem. So basically, I've got a Mac Mini here on my left. I've got my Windows machine in front of me, and I use this Logitech mouse right here, which is a Bluetooth mouse, and I switch between the 2 devices. So I switch between Mac and I switch between Windows, and I have to click this button on the back every time that I want to do that. Now, it's not the end of the world, but it's an annoying thing that I have to do every time I want to switch between computers. So I thought to myself, like, why do I not just ask Claude, can you build me an application that allows me to use the single mouse across both devices without having to switch which device it's working on? So I basically got Claude to create an app that anytime I go to the very right-hand side of my screen on my Mac over here, it then pings the mouse into my Windows machine, and I can use it on the Windows machine. Now, I'm not going to get into the technicals here of how it works. It basically uses your Wi-Fi network and sends your mouse coordinates on the Mac and kind of duplicates them over on your Windows machine. But it works really, really well. And it took about 20 to 30 minutes for me to set up. So I'll show you in a second just exactly how it works to show you like the type of stuff that you can build with this. And hopefully that sparks some ideas for you. So you can see here on the screen, on the left-hand side, I've got my mouse on Mac, and on the right-hand side, I've got my Windows PC. And I can transfer that mouse between the both using the same Bluetooth mouse without reconnecting. It's super powerful. I was able to build that tool out with Claude Code, and there's 100,000 different use cases that you could use this for, but just tell Claude Code what you want the output to be, and it will start building that. There will be issues, there will be little kinks that you have to fix while you're going through this process, but you can build them out super quick and just solve simple problems in your day-to-day life. So those are 5 powerful use cases for Claude Cowork. Hopefully this has sparked some ideas for you and your workflows and how you can implement this in your day-to-day tasks to automate and make yourself more efficient in your job or in your business. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We've got a ton more coming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.